Hello students, in this video we're going to learn how to mix a value scale using one of the primary colors and also learn about practicing how to mix complementary colors. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. So we're going to choose one. I'm going to choose red for this video, and we are going to make a value scale. So we want to have red, black, and white. We're going to mix tints and shades in this video. And we're going to make the scale sort of at the top of our page. So with watercolor, it's a bit of a unique material in that we need to add water to make the paint lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little puddle of water on my plastic tray, and then I'm going to mix some of my red paint into the puddle. This puddle is called a wash. So I have now mixed my wash, and I'm not really positive what it will look like on the paper. So I'm just going to test it out, and it looks pretty good. I want it to be red, not light red, not dark red, just red. So it looks good to me. So now I'm going to take a little puddle of the red wash that I had made, and in order to lighten it, I'm going to dip into my water cup and mix some water into the paint now. So as you can see, I'm just kind of adding a bit of water, and then I'm going to test that out. And what I want is there to be a noticeable difference moving in the lighter direction. So I want it to be slightly lighter. And now I want to repeat that process. So I'm going to go into that lighter red and make a little puddle on its own, and then dip into my water and mix water into that puddle of paint to create an even lighter red. So with watercolors, we wouldn't typically mix white paint. A lot of watercolor sets do not have white. In order to make our paint lighter, we would use water. So I'll just do a little swatch of that lighter red, and yes, there is a noticeable difference. You may want to test out your colors by trying them out on a scrap paper. So now I'm going to do the darker side of my value scale. So I'm going to take a little puddle of that medium red wash, the middle red wash, and I'm going to add some black paint into it. We wouldn't typically add black, but this is to help us practice creating a shade. So I'm going to get a little bit of black paint on my brush. I don't want too much. I want to do this little by little. So I've washed a little bit of it out, and then I'm going to mix that black paint in with the red paint. And it's looking a little too dark. So I'm going to actually create another puddle over here, which I can then add some red to. That darker color that I've mixed, that could possibly be maybe for my next dark value. So I'll mix some red into that other smaller puddle. And the reason why I did that versus mixing the red directly into the darker color I made is because black has a stronger tinting strength than red. So if I can add a tiny bit of black, and it makes a huge difference. Whereas if I add a tiny bit of red, it's not going to make much difference adding it to the black. So there, I'll swatch that. And then that darker color I made, I'm going to mix that into together. So that looks good. So I wanted to have at least 5 values. So you can keep going to darker and lighter if you want, but 5 is what we need for this assignment. Okay, so I've switched out my water with some clean water, and I've washed my mixing tray off. Now I'm going to practice mixing complementary colors. So remember, the complementary colors are those that are across from each other on the color wheel. So that's orange and blue, purple and yellow, and red and green. So for this video, I'm going to do purple and yellow. So I'm going to start by mixing 2 washes, one purple wash and one yellow wash. So I'm creating a puddle of water on my tray, 2 puddles of water actually on my tray, and then I will mix some paint into each of them. So I've mixed some purple paint into that first puddle there, and I want to test out what this wash is going to look like. So I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper and I'm just going to test that out. That looks dark enough to me, so I'm going to do the same process with the yellow. So I'm going to add yellow to that puddle, create a wash, test it out, and then I'll have both of my colors ready to go. All right, my yellow wash is ready. So I'm going to start by doing a little swatch of my yellow on the one side, and purple is going to be on the far left side. So what I will do is I will slowly add purple to my yellow. So I'm going to create a little puddle of yellow, and then talking about tinting strength, purple has a much stronger tinting strength than yellow. So I'm going to carefully add some small amounts of purple to my little puddle of yellow here. And then I'll test out what it looks like. And what I'm hoping for is a noticeable difference between my first swatch and my second one. So add a bit more purple, and then we will swatch that out. So then once I have that value completed, I'm going to add a little bit more purple to the previous color and continue to add purple until I get to a point where the color is almost purple. And then I will use the pure purple wash for my final fifth value on the far left side. So what I found was that I needed to add a bit more purple to that one. So I just sort of, what I did was I did a layer of purple paint over top of that. So watercolor is pretty forgiving. You can always go back and kind of just paint a wash over top of it. So what I'm hoping for this one is 5 different swatches where we have yellow, one complementary color on one side, and purple, another complementary color on the other side. So don't forget to wash your brush. Don't let it sit in the water cup because that's not good for your brushes. And that is it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you take some photos of your value scales and keep them they are the sketchbook assignment for this lesson.